Hi, everybody. Greetings from National Skills Network. Those of you who are following us on our YouTube channel might have seen that of late we have been publishing conversations and a lot of updates about higher vocational education or vocational education which is integrated with work and also is offering courses that can get you degrees, which can get you jobs. So we are talking about higher education, which makes you employable. And in this context today, we are featuring a very interesting university, which is located in the northeastern region of India, in Sikkim to be precise. We are talking about Medhavi Skills University, and we have with us Mr. Pravesh Dudani, who's the founder chancellor of this university. So welcome to this talk, Pravesh.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we would be really happy to know more about the university, the vision you have for the university, and how it all came about.
Right. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. And first of all, congratulations for the good work you are doing at National Skills Network. And very less people actually are, I find very few people who are so passionate about this skills ecosystem. You are one of those. And just to give you a context about the university and the background, let me start about myself. I have been working in the education and skills sector for last 15 years. I've done my engineering from IIT Kharagpur, then went to Stanford for my management studies. I've worked in a lot of education companies like EduCom, Pearson. Then I started a company called idreamcareer.com in the career counseling space, which got acquired by Times of India. And in then 2012, I started this organization, Medhavi Foundation, which is actually the legal body, the sponsoring body of the university.
Okay.
So in last 10 years, over the time, the organization started as a pilot project in my hometown in Dhanbad, Jharkhand. And by around 2014-15, a lot of work was happening in the skilling ecosystem around, short-term skilling space actually geared up. When NSDC came in, the NSQF actually got formalized, National Skills Qualification Framework. Yeah. We started doing a lot of projects, paid student paid training development, and Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. We got project about Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendra in various different states. So over these years, what we realized was that just the short-term skilling was not actually working out fully. So the challenge what we were facing was we were training a lot of students. By 2019-20, we were training about 20,000 students every year. In different, so we were sector agnostic, in different locations, states. We were getting them placements as well. But when the students were going in different industries, they were returning within a month or 2 months, 3 months. About 50-60% of the students were returning. Then actually we went to them that what is the problem you're facing? Why are you returning back? Because we gave you best of the skills training, and then we got you the job, entry-level job, and it's up to you how you build a career over time. So they said that, so our parents say that you need to complete your graduation, you need to complete your ITI, or you need to complete your polytechnic diploma, or you need to be graduate. Because there is a notion that until you are graduate, you won't be called as a padha likha,
Right.
student. So that mindset we have, and then we realize that being in the education and skilling sector, you need to have the power to customize a full-fledged degree or a diploma program and then offer it. Right? And that was the reason by 18-19 we were planning to actually create a full-fledged university. By 2020, National Education Policy was announced, and we went through that document. And that we realized that the next 5 to 10 years will be a game changer in the entire education ecosystem. And and then that time we realized that we'll not form a traditional university. We need, by the experience we have got over the last 10 years, it is important to form a skills university altogether. We looked after a lot of guidelines, whatever is there. So we didn't find much, very structured policy level guidelines as to how to form a skill university. But we went on talking to a lot of senior people in the ministries and people from the industry as to what really would solve the problem. If we see the problem, the idea is that the skill university should actually give the right education, create the right employment opportunities, and make students employable. All these three aspects needs to be taken care of. And then we started drafting the basic DNA, the structure, policies of the skills university. So by the virtue of our quality work which we were doing in Northeast, we went on to put up proposals for setting up skills university in various different Northeast states. And Sikkim, as a very progressive state, we got a red carpet welcome. And because we were already running a large skill center, we were doing about 800-900 candidate training in a place like Sikkim. And then we were even sending overseas in good quality hotels, 5-star hotels. We were training and placing them. So we had a good kind of brand and recall value in Sikkim. So we got a good response. We then in 2021, around June, the act of the university got passed. So any university it's supported by an act of either a state legislative assembly or act of a parliament. So our university is a state private university, and the act is passed by the Sikkim Legislative Assembly. Then we got the UGC approval later in 2021. And then, yes, now, we are seeing at a large canvas and there's endless possibilities. Yeah. And thanks to the policy level changes which are happening in Ministry of Skills, Ministry of Education, the new frameworks which are coming in, I see there is a humongous amount of possibility to actually work in this sector.
Yeah, right. That's really exciting, the entire journey that you have traveled so far and how the university came up. There are a couple of observations I would just like to share from what you told me just now. One is, the craze for degree or, that graduation, which you said in India mostly, even though jobs are not asking for degree that certificate in hand, but still we feel we should have one. So this is point number one. Point number two is the location of the university in Sikkim. Like I was already the other day discussing with you, for this entire Northeast region, perhaps yours is the first full-fledged university. Although it's a fledgling, it's just coming up. I think it is one of the early entrants here. And the third and most important point is the location of the industry, because when we talk about skills university or vocational higher education, you need to have those tie-ups with various industries, right? So how do we connect all these three? Because you just mentioned that in your earlier role as the head of the foundation, you were doing training, and also perhaps those people had to migrate for jobs, right? We see them mostly in the hospitality industry. They come to down south or other regions. Now, in case your dream is to fulfill, that thing about helping them to reduce migration, be in their own place, and at the same time get a degree, how do you wish to go ahead combining all these factors?
Right. No, that's a very good question. And as a skills university, it has to be industry first, in every aspect, whether the deciding as to what course to launch, to actually customizing relevant industry relevant curriculum, to delivering the practical training. In all aspect, industry has to be a stakeholder. So that should be the genesis and the DNA of a skill university. And as an industry first university, our approach has been that whatever courses we are launching in the university, especially in the degree and diploma space, which are long-term training programs, our objective is that first we are figuring out the market demand, as whether we can actually get them, whether there are jobs available around those sectors or not in which we will be training. and then tying up with some anchor industries, and then aligning the curriculum according to what job roles are required, what competencies are required, and then embedding those competencies in the curriculum, right? And then embedding the practical training with tying up with multiple companies in that particular sector. So that's the idea. For example, just to give you a few examples, in hospitality sector, because after the lockdown, this industry is seeing a humongous growth because people left the hospitality and hotel sector, and then they're coming back. So this hotel industry needs a lot of people in next couple of months. So we have launched a program which is an apprenticeship embedded degree program with IHG group of hotels, like the Crown Plaza and the Holiday Inn 5-star hotels. So we have a tie up with them, and it is not restricted to just Northeast. We have tied up with them for because it's nationally present in multiple cities.
Yeah.
They're 5-star properties. So we have launched a program in BSc Hospitality and Hotel Management. It's a 3-year apprenticeship embedded degree program where candidates are put up in the industry premises as a trainee, as an apprentice. And then once a week for the entire day, the university conduct classes inside the premises. And rest of the days, there are practical training conducted by the training staff of the hotel itself.
Yeah.
Right. And rest of the time they actually contribute towards the service and production related activities of the company. That way, the industry benefits, the industry gets a pipeline for their future leadership roles like a supervisor, managers over the time. They get to see the student, develop the student, train them as per the real requirement of the industry. And as a university, we ensure through this models that students have a confirmed job once they graduate. And by this model, because the student gets stipend, so there is a whole there's a whole audience which would not have been able to afford their education. They are able to afford their education through this model, because how we structure it's that our fees is paid on an equal monthly installment. And it's not a semester or a yearly fee we charge. So for those students, essentially what we do is that once the stipend gets credited, then only they pay the fees, the monthly fees to the university. So that's the relationship we have. It's a tripartite arrangement between the industry, the candidate, and the university.
Yeah.
Right? So and this has only been possible because now apprenticeship embedded degree program guidelines are available at UGC, and the Ministry of Skills is also promoting, NSDC is also promoting those things. So we are able to actually promote this kind of an arrangement. Now, our focus is that we are tying up with industries not only in Sikkim. So Sikkim has sectoral focus, like tourism sector is very vibrant there. So we have a lot of hotel tie-ups there, a lot of homestays we have tied up with for practical training and all. And then there is a pharmaceutical industry cluster. So we have tie-up with a lot of pharmaceutical companies. But in other sectors, we have tie-up across India where students go for completing their on-the-job training. So for on-the-job training, it is not necessary that they have to be in Sikkim. They are going across India wherever we have tie-up. So that's the beauty of a model of a skill university.
Yeah. And you also mentioned earlier about NEP 2020, being some kind of a facilitator for us to look at new frameworks right now. So what do you foresee, how do you foresee the influence of this policy in the decisions that you're going to take in the coming months in terms of, let's say, flexibility? Like BVOC, for example, is already a very flexible kind of a degree. So is your degree program also following a few such flexible frameworks or flexible systems? And when is it that the first batch of the degree program is likely to graduate from the Medhavi Skills University?
Right. So yes, so I will first answer the NEP related question. So national education policy, is definitely a game changing, and it's a policy which is going to really radically transform the entire education system, whether it's a school education, skill education, or a higher education. And the best part of it, that earlier for decades, this our education system was working in silos.
Yeah.
So skilling really disconnect with higher education, or the school education disconnect with skill education. So now, because of the national credit framework, which is almost finalized, what I hear from the people at different ministries and all, so it's soon, and the draft version is already most likely is going to be out very, very soon. So by the online workshops with the people UGC and NCVT they are conducting, we see that there will be a very seamless, coherent structure which will be created, which will have horizontal mobility as well as vertical mobility for the candidates. The entire education system will be creditized. When I say creditized, for any activity student would be doing, which is either they are doing an on-campus class or on-school classroom activity, or whether they are doing some project activity, some extracurricular activities, or doing some internships or an apprenticeships, or actually working as a job somewhere. Everything can lead to a credit accumulation.
Yeah.
So, because the idea is that you get educated by working as well somewhere. You learn the nuances of people handling, leadership skills, time management, and these are the skills which cannot be taught through books. So now the policymakers have realized that, and they are giving weightage to that. That if you're really working somewhere, you are in a way your level is getting upgraded, and you don't need to start from scratch when you actually enroll in a higher education institution or a skill providing institution. So that's the best part of it. And how, as a skill university, we are getting benefited is we are designing multi-exit courses. For example, a BVOC course, or for that matter, any graduation course for now will be a multi-exit model where a student can exit from an higher education institution with a graduate certificate in 1 year. In two years, they will be able to come out with a graduate diploma and 3 year, graduate degree, and then they can progress. For example, a BVOC student will be able to get into directly a fourth year of engineering, and within 4 years after BVOC they can complete an engineering degree. So earlier it was not possible.
Right.
An ITI candidate who after class 10 students who do their ITI for 2 years, they earlier faced a lot of challenges in getting into normal graduation because they had to complete some mandatory subjects. They have to complete their 12th, get an equivalence of 12 through NIOS,
Yes.
or through a state board or a central board. But now a 10th plus ITI will be able to get into graduation directly.
Yeah.
So with this, lot of good changes are coming up, and as Skill University, all those aspects which are very favorable to us. So I think what we are doing is the best time to do what we are trying to do as a Skill University.
Yeah.
Right. And so our skill operations has been operational for last 10 years. But in terms of our degree and diploma programs, we started a pilot batch in January 2022. And then this academic year, which is from August this year, our full-fledged batches are starting in Sikkim, as well as in our work integrated programs with industries which we are rolling out. All those batches are getting enrolled now.
Okay, that's interesting. So all the best for that. Now I'll ask you something which I think many people would want to know, most of our audience. We often come across people who are not very clear about how a skill university program differs from any other training program. So what exactly is the crucial difference? Is there something like 2 or 3 important points that you can tell us which distinguishes any other typical training program, skill training program?
Right, that's a very good question. I will address it from both perspectives. One is that how a skill university program differs from a normal short-term skilling program, as well as a traditional university program. Now, first I will answer how it differs from a traditional university program. See, traditionally, we have seen that the degree programs in traditional universities, the curriculums are not updated. It is not industry relevant. It is not industry benchmark. Now there is important, policy level guidelines which are coming from Ministry of Education is National Higher Education Framework, NHEQF.
Yeah,
Right.
qualification.
Like the National Skills Qualification Framework, there is an NHEQF which have now defined as to what competencies one needs to have to actually graduate to another level. So every level, there is a minimum competency being mapped. So earlier it was not there in the traditional education system. The second thing is if we are embedding skills into higher education. So what's important is that those skilling activities or a topic or a curriculum should map to a particular competency which a candidate needs to perform at a job, right? And that job profile needs to have a particular level assigned to it. That's very, very important. Like, so the good part is that the National Skills Qualification Framework is following this right from scratch. When this whole policy was created, it is industry first, and those NSQF levels are being given to particular job roles basis the industry benchmarking, industry demand as to a particular candidate, what roles they will be performing at what particular levels. So then there is a national qualification register. We can check all the job roles as to what are the competencies. We can download the qualification back and see. But in higher education, that qualification register is not there. So I hope that over the years that will be created. And for each graduate or an undergraduate level, at every level, those qualification levels will be either created or mapped to the skills framework, right? So those activities we are doing internally. So we have a very robust, qualifications and standards team, and there is an academic team which sits together and create that merged kind of a program. For example, if I take an example of, let's say, BVOC in electronics manufacturing, right? Now, it will have different job roles embedded as, qualification packs into every year. That once they complete one particular year, what are the job roles they will be competent enough to perform, right? So that we are mapping and then embedding into the curriculum. So that's the biggest difference. And the difference between a skill universities program to a traditional skills program is essentially the credit equivalence. So once that credit equivalence will be there will not much be a difference between a normal skills program, a short-term skilling program, and a skills university program. Why? Because those smaller short-term skill program will also form a part of the skill university program later on.
Okay.
For example, if I talk about a BVOC in automotive manufacturing technology, an automotive technician two-wheeler, three-wheeler course, which let's say 500 course as per the qualification pack, will form an integral part of the BVOC, right? So once that credit equivalence is created under the National Credit Framework, those aspects will be taken care of.
Right.
So I think the whole ecosystem is waiting for those changes to take effect.
Yeah, right. So these credits would get accumulated, and I guess, like you just explained, they will be counted towards getting a degree, the entire 3-year degree program. Irrespective of how you acquire those degrees, when it is properly mapped and componentized, as per the
absolutely. And just to give you an example, what we foresee is that any traditional university will recognize credits earned through a short-term skilling done in a nearby Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendra or a skill academy, skill center, right? And that university will recognize that credit and embed that into their normal curriculum.
Okay.
So that is the synergies which will be building over the time.
Yeah. You just mentioned about the academic part, and I'm curious to know about how you, recruit all the faculty members. What is your plan? And because it is a work integrated degree program, how would you get all the faculty members who have exposure or experience in the industry? Is there something innovative you're planning around this?
Right, that's a very, very good question, and that is something which is very critical because end of the day, the faculties and the trainers really impact the delivery, the quality and the delivery of education and skilling. Now, our approach is that one, we are compliant with the UGC guidelines of hiring the assistant professors, associate professors, which have a minimum qualification required to hire an assistant professor. And so on one side we are following that, and parallelly we are hiring skill instructors, master skill instructors, who may not follow UGC guidelines for that matter, but should have the practical exposure and experience to train them on a skill level to the candidates. So that's the second level of people we are hiring. And the third level of people we are hiring are the adjunct faculties. Because end of the day, there are so many professionals who are there, who cannot work full time with the university, but they're ready to take up few subjects in a semester. And because of the technology, advent of technology, there are tools which are available. Students can be connected with anyone at any time. So we have our very robust learning management system and a university management system through which the students work with those adjunct faculties for particular subjects. So these three approaches we are taking broadly.
Yeah. So besides all these points, is there something else you wish to convey to our audience? Maybe something about how parents are, trying to change their perception towards higher education. Are there any observations you have had in the last few years and also after starting the university? Is there something on these lines that you wish to share with our audience?
Right, that's a very good question, Madhuri. What I've seen is that people have become really aware because students and parents are talking to their friends, family members, the people who are already working in the industry, corporates. There is a Google which is there. They can search about different courses. They can learn about what is latest in the industry, right? So now students and parents are not enrolling for the traditional courses. They are looking for exotic courses. They're looking for the trendy courses which can actually help them create their unique brand, their unique positioning, as well as there should be an inherent market demand for those courses. I'll give you an example. Like paramedical industry is a domain which is always short staffed. You talk to hospitals, you talk to doctors. There are always supply issues in terms of manpower for trained paramedical staff. Right? Paramedical education is very regulated. It needs to be followed up with a lot of issues. A lot of approvals are required. So we have come out with hybrid skill paramedical courses like a BVOC in medical lab technology, or BVOC in radiology, right? BVOC in optometry. So these kind of courses, which are a combination of the academic principles which are required to be paramedical staff, as well as inbuilt with the practical training which is required to actually be very skillful in as a paramedical technician, to become a paramedical technician. So, and we are getting good response. Right? Likewise, we have started tourism and hospitality courses in Sikkim. We are getting very, very high quality response. We are working with some, automotive companies who in our BVOC programs. We are getting very good response by the student and parents because they understand that the student is gaining a degree, which is a UGC recognized degree and is at par with any other general degree. UGC has a separate notification which says that BVOC degrees are equivalent to a BA, BCom, BSc degree for all practical purposes. So parents, we counsel the parents, and the parents knows that the student is getting practical exposure. They don't have to wait for 3 years. So now, because of this, it's a challenge for the large traditional universities also to rework their models, because end of the day, for me personally, what I think is it doesn't make sense to invest so heavily into a campus-based model where you're 3-4 years, you're there. You're taking loans, a candidate and a parent take loans to sponsor their, fund their education. The fees ranges from 10 lakh, 20 lakh, even 30, 40 lakhs to some extent for their BBA kind of a program or a BSc kind of a program, and then ending up into a loan trap later on, right? And with no clarity as to what kind of jobs they can really look up to, right? So through this skill university work integrated programs or on-the-job training embedded programs, you always have an option to kind of experiment with your career. You learn something in one particular sector, you don't like it, you have an option to shift to something else later on. while you are completing your graduation, right?
Yeah.
So till you're graduate, you would have experience in 2, 3 different industries, 2, 3 different job roles, and then you have enough experience to really decide. And by the time you would not have spent so much in your graduation. So that's the beauty of it, and it is. And I really like the German model, dual model of education, where almost 50% of the students coming out of schools actually opt for a dual model of education. They work with an industry, they accumulate credits while they're working as a trainee, as an intern, and then that credits get transferred to the university where they need to complete their graduation. So in India, those transformation and that I am very positive that these kind of initiatives would help the gross enrollment ratio also to increase substantially.
Yeah, definitely. Since you mentioned the German model and also what India can learn from these models and adapt, I think this university model is definitely going to help, in bringing in those changes. And also it gives many options for people, because as we know, all of us are not academically inclined to keep, acquiring knowledge, and most of us have the need to start working and earning. So I guess this is going to be really taken in a very positive limelight right now, that you mentioned that parents are also very enthusiastic and they want to know more and they want to, keep with the trend, as we are saying. So that's really interesting to know, Pravesh. And on this note, I wish to thank you for sharing the entire story of the university, and wish you the best once again from Team NSN for the enrollments that are going to happen. And we would like to be in touch with you to get regular updates. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madhuriji, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.